Good evening, good evening, good evening. Who gives you the full Monty on your birthday, but then shows you a bag full of skin tags immediately afterwards? It's us, American Scouts of TV Thursday Night Podcast. That's the Tinnipa if you're a cool kid. We're -1 tonight, so the three of us are going to have to hold the fort. I'm sure we can handle it. The three Gs, we can call us there, because we're staying alive. Especially after that result on Tuesday. And then also, you're getting through, and also Rangers, apparently. But let's get on with our stuff today. We have Cozzy and Brian, at least, our bald handsomeness. Brian, how are you?
Doing good.
And Cozzy, need I ask, because you're always positive and upbeat.
Why not be? 15 points in the league. Why aren't we positive?
There's a lot to be positive about. And we were just discussing before we went on there how we're going to save American Scouser TV by starting our own stripper show with just those three lads. And it was a great plan. I'd have to take my clothes off and be like watching Shamu.
I wish I could say that you were lying, but you're not. And that's the way.
The Patreon stuff should just be the stuff we talk about before we go on here. Well, here's what we're going to talk about tonight. Anyway, we'll talk about the game. We have to. And the perspectives that we should have on it. And then we have a story from Prince William, that hardened working class hero, but complaining about the 3 p.m. blackouts in England for the Premier League. But it'll be an interesting thing to get an American perspective as well, because that blackout thing for sports is still ongoing. But in the age of television, does it really matter? And then we'll have a room 433 before we get going, talking about the final this weekend. This is everybody would love to be us. We get dumped out of one competition, we're pretty much winning another, and we looking forward to a final for another. And, it's justified to be sad on the day, but really we can't complain about our lot in general as Liverpool fans. We're doing quite well this season. Who knows how it's going to end up next season? Jörg Schmatke will be laughing his ass off on the beach, I'm sure. But let's talk about the game. Dumped out on penalties by Paris Saint-Germain, and in the cold light of day and with a little bit of 2020 hindsight, Brian, if you were neutral, and I've listened to all the radio shows and stuff that all of the neutrals said the same thing. Liverpool aren't involved in that from our perspective. That was one of the highest quality European games in terms of technique and tactics. I think that's been around for a long time. A good advertisement for this new format. Heartbreaking for us as Liverpool fans. But before we even talk about the penalty shootout, I said in the first leg, that's probably the best technical team we're ever going to play this season. They are a fantastic team. Luis Enrique is doing a very good job of turning PSG away from that Galacticos model and into a proper actual football team. And they're young as well, apparently. Didn't know that. They're a fairly young team. So fair play. But they are an exciting team. And it's not even like we matched them. They had to match us equally in parts. So, it sucks to go out this early in the knockout stages, but at the same time, if they win the whole thing, their name is probably on it at this point, where it wasn't. It was a good performance, a horrible way to go out, but we weren't embarrassed by any means.
Oh, no, I don't think we're embarrassed at all. I mean, if you it's one of the things I put on Discord after it happened. Would anybody go there rated us to get this far in the Champions League or be 15 points above in the league or be in a cup in the League Cup final at this point back in August? I really don't think anybody would have thought that. It was a good end-to-end game. I mean, and I think toward that first couple minutes right there where we were up I mean, we just didn't really capitalize on some of the shots that we had, and then in the second half, the second half was probably one of the best. If I was a neutral, I'd say it's probably one of the best halves of football I've seen in a long time. I mean, it was end to end. There was excitement on that, and and again right there, it was anybody's game in that. But I have to say right there, that Hakimi player, he's a player, man. I mean, he really, really came there and it was a threat almost the entire match, the entire two matches. But I mean, again, I guess I told a coworker today, right there. I'm not upset at all, right there. I think that I'm kind of proud of the accomplishments that these guys made, right there. I mean, they ran their legs off. They came there, did everything. I heard a lot of people like, just like, well, you know what? They can't. They were top of the league, right there. They blew it and stuff like that. It's not the case, right there. I mean, I think that in this, it's anybody's match right there when you get to this point right there. I mean, everybody up there is a fairly talented squad, and we got drawn with a very technically gifted squad, and that's kind of what happens sometimes. So, end of the day, right there, it was a good one. We made a good amount of cash out of this tournament right there. Let's reinvest that cash back in the summertime, and let's move on.
Causey, during the conversation in the game on the Discord that I could follow, one of the points I think you made was, Slot not making subs early enough. It was a highly energetic game, and even if the players were rested and fit, it still was going to take a lot out of them because the intensity was so high. And maybe some of the players haven't played a game of that intensity as a Liverpool team. The veterans from the Klopp era definitely have, but the ones who came in more recently probably didn't and didn't understand how intense those games get. Could Slot have made changes that would help us to win in normal time, or did we do enough? Like, now that you can look back on it with the result and the emotion of the results kind of gone, do you look back and say, okay, he did as much as he could, or do you think he could have done a little bit more?
Tough, this fella. First things first, this isn't sour grapes. Got beat by a better team over 2 legs. Completely deserved it. They deserved to go through, and they went through, and that would have been. Again, and I'm including the second leg in that. Liverpool can't play well for 30 minutes of 2 legs and expect to get through. Overall, like, when I say well, in terms of getting to a really high level in the game. You played well, but you didn't get to that level of winning the game. So there's that. I thought the manager would have started Curtis Jones and played the 4 in midfield. It was the only time in the first leg where Liverpool had a small foothold in the game, was when Jones came on and had those 4 midfielders. So I think the manager did get that wrong, his starting 11. And then I think he just persisted with it and thought he could win the game in 90, when sometimes you just kind of got to swallow your pride and go, this isn't working. We knew in the first half it wasn't working, by the way. Liverpool were better second half, so we'll give the manager credit. Liverpool were better second half. Liverpool should possibly win the game in the second half. But I just felt like the balance was all wrong with Diaz. I just felt like they were overrunning us again in midfield. I'm not here to sit and criticise this team. They've been tremendous this year. And again, a better team beat us, no problem. But this is the same side who had the legs run off them in March. It's the same squad of players. Last March, Liverpool's legs are falling off in midfield. They can't run anymore. Ryan Gravenberch cannot run. He played 120 minutes. He can't run. Now, the difference is this year, we have a 15-point lead. So it doesn't matter if you fucking can run or not run. You'll probably win the league by default if you didn't win another game. Because I don't think Arsenal will still win 5 out of 10 anyway. So you'll probably still win the league by default anyway. That's the difference. And this isn't me criticising the manager or anyone else. I don't care. The name of the game at the start of the season is to win the league by hook or by crook, and I don't care how you do it. So Liverpool will win the league. I'm very confident in that. But Liverpool could win 2 trophies. I mean, my disappointment comes from the manager not trusting his squad in critical moments and not trusting them. And that's the part which is kind of frustrating, really, for me, a little bit. It's the part where I look at Gravenberch now, who's barely kicked the ball in anger for 2 years, and now he's playing every single game, every 3 days, and looks absolutely dead. I genuinely think one of us could run past him at the moment if he turned us back to our goal. He can't run anymore. And this is the thing about our midfield, by the way. On the ball, they're fantastic. Like, of course they're going to be. It's the running part. They haven't got it. Szoboszlai's the only one who's got it. And even Szoboszlai's running towards the end was dead. He got hooked in the game because he was dead. And he's had his legs run off him. This is something that the manager probably knows. This is another part of this. This is the manager knows who we can trust and who we can't trust. Do you know what I mean? He knows that. The one thing I would say, based on the run we've had in terms of the Villa game and the Everton game and all this, the one thing that the manager has done is trusted Endo more. And he learned from the derby. So for people who don't remember, he doesn't sub Endo on when we're winning 2-1 at the derby. If Liverpool are winning 2-1 in the game now, to think that Endo wouldn't be a sub is fucking mind-boggling. He doesn't do it in the derby and he gets punished. Since then, Wolves, Villa, when it's been close, he's put Endo on. He's been great. So he's won his trust. Now, like, you can see that happening, and it's frustrating with the PSG game because I don't think he's trusted the squad enough throughout the season. And I think it's very, very, I don't want to say harsh, or I just feel like it's wrong sometimes that you expect to throw Harvey Elliott on, change the game when you barely let him the kid kick a ball all season. Curtis Jones couldn't get up to speed. I thought he was poor when he came on. Couldn't get up to speed of the game, which those type of intense games, by the way, that can happen. Yeah, players don't get up to speeds. And the last thing I want to mention, and I'm sure we'll get to it in a second, anyone who slates our lads for setting up and taking a penalty, honestly, I'm not Darwin Núñez's biggest fan. First of all, it's an awful penalty.
I don't think any of us on this show are, so we're all in good call. We've been very consistent.
Exactly. It's an awful penalty. If you ask a keeper, where do you want a penalty? I want it knee high, a foot inside the post. He puts it exactly where the keeper wants it. But he stepped up and took a penalty. Because there's a lot of other players. I know Harvey Elliott was on the 5th. That came out, he was on the 5th. I don't know if Gakpo was on the 4th, but he best had to be. Because I have a thing here, and I'm going to give you a little insight into my 4-3-3 here. If you're a striker, you should be stepping up to take a penalty. In any situation, you have to step up and take a penalty for your team if you're a forward. Because you're asking for the ball. Oh, I want to shoot and all. Well, yeah, you got a shot there for 12 yards then. Free at the goalkeeper. No one marking you, fella. All the time on the will, take your shot. Shoot then. Because you're the ones who are paid to shoot. Because I was assuming that Virgil might be on the 4th. I don't know if that's true because of Virgil's pen in the League Cup, if you all remember. One of the best pens I've ever seen. I don't know if Gakpo was on the 4th or 5th, but I don't want to hear any bad mouthing about the lads who stepped up and took a penalty, because that's what you're meant to do. And I'll give full credit to Darwin for stepping up and taking a penalty.
Let me just ask this before I go to Brian. Go back to the midfield thing, because you mentioned, last March the situation was the same where the legs were falling off, but that was a whole different fitness crew and a whole different coach. So do you think it's a matter of we really need to make sure we have high quality numbers in the midfield so that we're not relying on the same 3 players, given that we know now that Slot, you have to earn Slot's trust to play on his team. We really need his type of midfielder in the summer, don't we?
Slot knew that this season, it turned out how it is. Liverpool will win the league, might win 2. Look, he knew that this one was a free hit to get to know this squad and get to know the players who he wants and who he doesn't want. I still think that's the case. Now, those lads in midfield have been great. I'm not arguing with United, but they look fucked. There's another part of this where Liverpool Football Club, and I'm not the biggest fan of the owners, and I'm not here to criticise it, but they've known for 5-6 years that we needed a number 6. They tried to do Tchouameni, Caicedo, Lavia, Zubimendi, the list goes on. They've known we've needed this football player. Liverpool still need that football player, but they also know they're not going to go and rush and go and, sign a Lee Catamole or someone daft. They're not going to do that because that's not what they do. So they went with the numbers that they've got. But if you were to tell me that a Zubimendi would be an option or a really high-class midfielder, I think Ryan Gravenberch would be fitter right now. I think Alexis McAllister will be fitter than what he looks right now. They look fantastic on the ball. And that will never go away because that's what they are, because they're fantastic football players. It's the running back. And I am petrified for this weekend, which we'll get to because of their midfield and how strong and powerful they are and quick, because they could bully us all over the pitch in midfield, especially for the big guy, the big number 7, Joe Linton, coming back in, because he's a unit of a man. That's frustrating. But again, I do think the manager knows this. Endo's had to win his trust. Endo's came in and earned it. And now Endo looks like his first sub in at most games, which is, by the way, brilliant place for Endo to be. And he fully deserves it because he's been excellent. I just feel like the problem is with Szoboszlai especially, he's the one he sticks out to me because we can't replicate him off the bench. That's the issue. You go from Harvey Elliott to Szoboszlai, just going from night and day. They're 2 completely different football players of what you're getting out of players. That is a massive, massive issue. But again, I don't care if the legs fall off anymore, Mac, because we've won the league anyway. So I don't care. We'll win the league by default. It's just a matter of when and not if.
Yeah, I just want to. I'm taken aback by your Lee Catamole slating there. Wonderful specimen of man.
One for the kids.
One for the kids. Brian, now I agree because there's not anything we should really be slating Darwin Núñez about.
Maybe,
and he was, he was devastated, and that was a penalty of lacking confidence rather than lacking technique. He just looked like he didn't have full confidence in himself. So I don't want to talk about that. What I want to point out is this here. This is the average positions from the first half. With Jota's position is the thing I want to talk about, because Jota has not been effective the way we expect Jota to be since he's come back. And quite frankly, if it was up to me, if I was the director, I'd be looking to replace him at the end of the season. I just thought we'll never get the Jota back that we know and love. And as Paisley used to say, let them lose their legs in somebody else's contract, not on Liverpool's. But what that average position to me shows, and it feeds into just the general overall Darwin thing, is we really lack a spearhead, figurehead number 9, don't we, right now? We lack the tip of the diamond, as they say in Dutch football and Dutch coaching. We lack somebody to lead the line and to bully the opposition. Darwin does that, but we know in general, not the PSG game, but in general overall play, he can do that part well, and then it's a crapshoot where the ball's going to go when it comes to actually scoring the goals. But this system really needs somebody who's not going to drop into midfield and help the midfield out and then leave us short and relying on Salah to be the goal scorer. Because if we had Salah goal scoring and a number 9 who also scored goals, we'd be laughing. We'd won the league already, really, wouldn't we?
I mean, I think a lot of times with a 4-3-3 right there, that Klopp played right there, you use the player like Jota like that to actually go back and track back and defend right there and set up play right there for your wingers. I think that with a 4-2-1-3 right there that slot plays with, that's not an effective role for that player right there. And I think that's the problem right there you have with Jota. And, and I'll say right there, Jota really has not been the same Jota like that we talked about, the clinical finisher that for months. I mean, not to sound like Matus right there, but that's just reality right now. I mean, Jota's not that guy at the moment. I mean, and honestly, when it goes back to what you said, what you were talking about, I would have started Darwin. I said that from the beginning. I think that Darwin came there and caused a lot more problems. I understand how you feel with it, Kazi. I just think that it would have been just a little bit more press in there. But the one thing that we're really, really lacking in this whole situation right there, like you said right there, is that forward that actually can finish and can lead right there. I mean, I've seen so many players right there over the past couple of weeks that that are starting to get that are starting to go there, get linked with us. And again, these players right there are those type of forwards right here. I think that today right there, the whole Victor Gorkas thing right there, that I just saw that I read about right there. That's the type of players you want. And Isaac right there, or Benjamin Seska, and those guys right there who are going to actually build a bigger, strong forward. Kind of like in the mold of a Holland type of forward right there, of somebody who's going to actually go and muscle defenders out. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. There was so many different problems right there, and with that match right there, and it was like Kazi was saying right there, midfield shot. I mean, and again right there, if you don't have a midfield that can actually go and establish a match, then it doesn't make a difference what forwards you really have right there, because you're not controlling the pitch. It's everything's won in the midfield, and in this match with PSG, we didn't win the ball that much toward that. I mean, I think second half we looked a lot better, but it was I think really over the stretch right there, the match was kind of gone. I mean, because we couldn't control it. I mean, we could, and they just had an answer basically for everything that we came through with them. And it just happened. I mean, it just happened right there. But yeah, I mean, this summer has to be a big investment in a number 9 right there. I mean, again, like that with Darwin was going there, I give him, like you said, right there, give him plaudits for going up there and taking a penalty, because it's never easy to go there and be that person to do it. That's probably one of the hardest things right there you can do, that you can do. Same thing with Curtis Jones with his misses right there. Same thing right there. It's like you have a 50-50 shot right there on that right there. So, I mean, sometimes you might win, sometimes you might lose. It's what it is. I mean, it's the nature of the beast. But again, right there, we just have to have – go ahead.
I want to follow on, Brian, what you've said there.
Yeah,
about
we said the
Darwin.
focal point.
I want to follow on what you said about Darwin.
I can't hear you, Kazi.
I think Brian's all messed up. But
I think Elon's taken his signal. Been deported.
I think my argument is with Darwin, gents, right, about the starting argument. You can't trust him. This is the thing, you can't trust him.
I agree.
For example, Darwin's great against Southampton, but he does go out and kick someone and gets booked. You can need cool heads. And we'll get to Jota in a second, but I think that's the reason why Darwin doesn't start a lot of footy matches for him, because you just can't trust him because you do something stupid and then you can put us really behind the 8 ball. Now, the Jota argument is there's two things about Jota. Number one, I think he's lost the art of pace. I actually think the injuries took his toll. He looks slow as hell. He was never the quickest footy player anyway, but he had 5 yards. He had 5 yards to burst. Hasn't got the burst anymore.
Yeah.
Number two, the injuries I think have really taken a toll. Liverpool's whole system is built around Mo Salah getting the ball in the thingy of the pitch, in the end of the pitch, final third, let's say. It's built about Mo Salah getting space and getting the ball, which is not a bad strategy. He's the best player in the world. So the number 9 will always suffer at our club. If he's actually suffer at our club, in effect, if Mo Salah's still there. And that's a part of this conversation again. So this argument, people go, we need to go out and sign a big, massive investment into number 9. And we might need to go and find a big, massive investment into a right winger, you know. So we keep. I don't get it. I just don't get that conversation because.
Well, do you not think though, if other teams know that Salah is the focal point, that they can just stop Salah, which is essentially what PSG did. They just stopped Salah, but having the number 9 then gives them an extra thing to think about. And we don't have that right now, is what I'm saying. Jota is not Jota of old, and Darwin, just as he said, you just can't trust him. You could literally wind that guy up like a child's toy on Christmas morning. If he's on a hat trick, if he's on 6 goals in a game, he'll get himself sent off probably, because that's what he does.
And I get that, Matt, right? The argument is next year, and again, the big investment into number 9. That's fine if Salah goes, but then someone has to get the goals, and if that's going to be your number 9 from going forward, that's fine. Then go and sign Minter out of Brighton, and go and sign a fucking really good functional right winger who'll get you 10 goals, and that's what they're meant to do. And we all go from there, kind of thing. But as it stands right now, Mo Salah gets the goals. I know what you're saying about stopping Mo Salah, but there's an argument that Luis Diaz should score and then Jota should get one. They can all still contribute in the game, can't they? Do you know what I mean? Darwin could contribute in the game, and players like that. But Liverpool's whole game plan is to get Mo Salah space in the final third, because he gets your goals and assists, and that's what pays the bills. And this is a part of the point about the big 3, of course. Taking out Trent's age, who would you rather have on your side? Who would you rather keep? It's Mo Salah, because he's the one who scores goals, and goals are so hard to find in this sport. So I just find it a bit mad that this thing of we're going to go and sign a big number 9. Hey, as it stands right now, Liverpool need 8 players, lads.
But even with that, but I get totally what you're saying right there. But if you look at how Fandor came there to set up the 2 outside on the left and the right and the right wings right there, actually were back behind the number 9 in a little ways right there. So it isn't like a straight flat front 3 right there, like we saw with Klopp and all that, which means that you need to have that kind of rotation right there with a 4 that you said that you can trust. And like you said right there, you can't trust Darwin Nunez right there. So you still have to have enough of a player right there. I can't say like a super a gigantic investment, because I think, like you said, there's other pieces of the squad that need help more than the number 9 does. But we do need to go there and go after a 9 right there that, even if it's a project 9 or something like that, that that has the potential to move up there. But again, we can't go on with having Jota and Darwin at the moment right there, and are rotating Luis Diaz over as a number 9 when he's not a number 9. And I think that's what's kind of the problems that we've had.
And I think that we're going off Macka, but I get a point, right? And I think going off this, we don't know what Slot likes to play. Slot's walked into this and went, go and have a look at this lad. This is how they play. Go and have a look at them. See what you want. See who you want to keep. And how do you want to play. It's just mad that Liverpool have won the league. Liverpool might win 2 trophies. That's what's confusing people. People always go to me, and I've heard this on this podcast, and it just makes me laugh so much when I hear it. Oh, Trent isn't really a Slot type of right back. So why are they trying to sign to a $300,000 a week deal then for 5 years? Because if he's not this type of right back, you wouldn't fucking try and sign him, would you? You'd bin him and go and get the right back that he wants, because the man would have earned that trust. So I don't understand this. And people go, oh, but he's sacrificing for him. Okay, that's just a load of garbage in this day and age that you're just sacrificing for him because Jurgen Klopp did that and then Slot did that. So maybe he's just an half-decent right-back. Maybe he's not world-class, but he's just an half-decent right-back. And even sometimes they're hard to find, by the way, because I watch a lot of the league and there's hard to... Trust me, that's right. There's really, really good teams in this league. Really, really good teams. But when I watch them, I go, none of them as good as us. Not one of them. I idolise Bournemouth. I love Bournemouth. I could watch Bournemouth till the day I die. They're fantastic to watch. I only look at one of them, and we know the lad that can go, he'll start for us. He's the left back. Everyone goes, that Semenyo's good. I'm not a big Luis Diaz fan, but they're a coin toss. I'm Cody Gakpo's better than Semenyo. Yeah. Like, everyone goes to me, oh, you should go and watch this side, Or like, oh, Brighton are really good. And I watch them and go, does Mitoma start for us over Gakpo? When Gakpo, I don't know what I'm seeing. So what I'm getting at is these players are hard to find. And as it stands right now, we need 8, maybe more. Because the right back you can't trust because he's injured again. As much as I like Conor Bradley. The first choice right back might be out. The backup right back might be out. We need 2 centre-halves because Endo's coming in to play centre-half in a Champions League game. Endo's also played centre-half in a semi-final of a cup this year. People forget that, by the way. Wild. Everyone who tells me that the left back's been finished all year has been brilliant the last 6 weeks. Yeah. Right? He doesn't like the other left back. We need 2 centre midfielders. You got a conversation about Luis Diaz. You got a conversation about Darwin Núñez. You got a conversation about Jota. Mo Salah might leave. Virgil van Dijk, your captain, might leave. So that's why I keep saying in the chat, and I'm not being funny when I say this, it could be a Jerry Krause rebuild. That needs to happen. That could happen. Whether I agree with that happening or not, I don't know, but that's what could happen, and they might fancy it.
Because we could talk about the game all night, but we want to move on to other things. But before we go, just kind of a moral question, like Macka's. I can't remember what I used to call a moral minute or something that way back at the beginning. I'll figure out what that was called. A threshold question. That's what it was. If you were given at the start of the season, Brian, the league or the Champions League, which would you have chosen?
League in a heartbeat. Mm-hmm. League in a heartbeat. Yeah, I mean, Champions League's come and go right there. League, yeah, that's our prize.
It's only because we never really got to celebrate it 5 years ago, and I don't think that team ever got the credit. I don't. I see someone in the chat today going, "Oh, Slot's team and Jurgen's team, that'll be a close game." No, it wouldn't. Jurgen's team would destroy them 5-0. It wouldn't even be close. Like, I'm sorry, and that might come back to bite me on the arse. Jurgen's team is one of the best assembled football teams I've ever seen in my life. This team has just won the league. And again, I keep telling everyone I talk to, I've seen 6 or 7 of these teams at Man United throughout their years of winning the league, where they just win the league by default because they've got a few good pieces. That's it. And that's what Liverpool have got. I'm not saying, Mo Salah's dragged 10 bums over the line. I'm just saying that this team, I think our midfield under Klopp and the former Sadio Mane and Roberto Firmino, they wouldn't get close.
Total package. It was a total package.
Not a lot.
I think we'd all agree on that. I think that's the perspective we need to take. It was it was a sad thing to lose, and a sad thing to lose in the penalty shootout, but it's not the end of the season by any stretch. Got a big game Sunday and a trophy to collect in front of an actual crowd.
Exactly. Dance memory, baby.
Yeah, it's all good stuff. So let's move on to the next thing. And I'm really, I just had my dinner before he came on, so I'm really not sure I want to put this guy's face up on our TV screen. But he's a fellow Baldy, although an incredibly rich and wasteful one. But Prince William, talking about the blackouts over in England, 3 o'clock, you can't watch the games on television. You're kind of forced to go and watch them in the grounds, and also to protect the lower leagues, apparently, etc., which nobody goes to watch anyway. Here's my question, Brian, because you guys over here in America have had blackouts for like American sports, baseball and football and stuff. We are now, they made sense when the choice was watching a game on television or going to your local game, and especially in the winter times when it's a freezing cold day, 10 to 15 inches of snow over here, or going for a weak cup of Bovril and a very, very mushy pasty in England at halftime. There's choices you have to make in life. So to encourage people to go to the games, you can't watch any show any live games at 3:00 on BBC or ITV or Granada or Yorkshire Television or whatever they had back in the day. But is the whole idea of a blackout in any sport, is it relevant in this day and age when you can literally watch every game you want to watch via streaming, via cable packages, and it's not affecting the crowds? The crowds are still there. It's not like NFL Pass has caused the Green Bay Packers to get 7 people to show up for a game because everybody's staying at home with their stupid cheese hats. And I like the Green Bay Packers, but those hats are stupid. It's a really, to me, tell me if you agree or not, it's a really archaic concept at this point, isn't it?
It's an absolutely archaic concept, but if they're worried so much about viewership and stuff, and actually people going to stands, then why don't they go there and adjust the ticket prices right there for these events right there? If they want to have people come to the stands and go and cheer on their sides, and it's the same thing with America. I mean, the most famous person of groups that were the blackouts right there were MLB, Major League Baseball, black stuff out constantly. I mean, right there. I mean, that's been going on for years and years and years. I remember when as a kid, right there, growing up in the DC area before the Washington Nationals came in, right there, where it was just Baltimore Orioles here, that it would be blacked out all the time. I mean, because one, they couldn't get enough people in the stands right there, the stands for there, because not going to badmouth Baltimore, but if you've been to Baltimore, you might understand. It's a whole different. It's a different place. But again, right there, it's been happening for years, but again, with a VPN, I can go watch whatever I want to. I'll just go just change locations and watch it anyway. I think the biggest grapple hold right there that we have right there, even without blackouts, are these like package programs that we have in the United States right there. That we have in the United States, like the NFL Sunday ticket, MLB ticket, stuff like that. Those things right there, the ones right there are the crowd killers. And I mean, and I know the purpose of their rolling blackouts is to, the blackouts they have there is to actually bring people back into the stands and have them there. But again, if you're pricing people out, I mean, how do you expect that? I mean, the one good thing right there, which I did see right there, is that Liverpool are freezing tickets again, the price of tickets again this year. That's not a normal thing. I mean, because you can go in London. I've heard people with nightmares with the tickets going to Emirates right there with some of the pricing right there that happens there. I mean, so again, I think it's going toward different. It's archaic. It is archaic. I mean, I think that in this day and age, right there, if you want that the fan viewership, right there, either one, you go in there, you reduce your ticket prices right there and draw more people in, or you go there and set up a network of clubs that they have a shared viewership, shared revenue income that goes to, so everybody is able to watch matches. I mean, that's the one problem you have with the league, because most of these rolling blackouts happen with the championship on down to League One, League Two down that area through there in the football leagues. Why don't they go there and create a package there right there where you can actually see everything and then have a shared revenue that goes across there? I mean, and that would solve a lot of problems with them. I mean, with the income that comes there. I mean, so you can have clubs like there, like Chesterfield and clubs like that, who have gone out of business. I mean, and stop that bleed right there by actually being able to support them by having that type of shared income.
Cosy, back in the day, if you were born young enough to remember, Saturday afternoon, because there was no 3:00 games on BBC or ITV, you were stuck watching Grandstand and World of Sport and waiting on the halftime scores and then the famous full-time scores at the end at 5:30, 5:45, just before Noel's house party. Let me add. But by not being able to watch live football games, you're stuck watching like darts and snooker and the wrestling for the old years. But in Ireland, we got a little bit lucky. They found a loophole that if they waited 5 minutes, they could take the Danish or the Swedish feeds for the Premier League and then show them at 5 minutes past 3. So we got to watch the games every week.
Amazing.
It was great, but what that did do was it caused an uproar from the FAI, from the League of Ireland. And rather than try and fight it, they did the sensible thing. They moved all the League of Ireland games to Friday evening. So now they weren't losing fans to watching their favorite English teams in the Premier League. They just went out on Friday night, went to a soccer game, went out for a pint or 10, and then woke up the next morning and then got ready to watch their favorite team on the television. Now, for the lower league teams in England, the bottom of the pyramid, where the moral is supposed to be to help those by not taking fans away, because I don't think I'm wrong. Like, teams for Cobsworth United or Ebbsfleet or something like that will usually also have a Premier League team that they want to watch too, so that they've got both. If sticking to that tradition of we have to play at 3:00 on Saturday, even though the rest of the country wants to watch United against Liverpool, they're not really helping themselves in that sense commercially. Are like being a little bit more creative, which I think they have been, but being a little bit more creative will help keep their fans and also not ruin it for the rest of us, essentially. So that we get to watch games live on television at 3:00 on Saturday.
You're not going to like this, gents. I like the 3 p.m. blackout. I know it's controversial.
You should have kept that for 4-3-3.
I know. There's a few reasons I like it. The main reason is, why do we have to? So in the UK, football for our friends here is streamed across about 5 different platforms. Why should we keep giving them more money to stream more games? Now this is the biggest issue. If there was like a Netflix version where I can just, like an NFL pass, for like a Premier League pass in the UK for 70 quid a year, 80 quid a year, just to sign up and watch Premier League games, I'm okay with blanking out the 3 p.m. blackout if that money goes down to, of course, we've still got to put a package together to take care of the smaller clubs down there, because that's the main part of this key. I am not in. So for people who don't know, for our friends here across the pond, including the full Sky package, an Amazon package, a BT's package, TNT Sport now, but BT package, and there was one more a couple of years ago, but I don't remember. I think it works out at around £250 a month, which is around $300 a month. And you don't get your 3 p.m. games. Now, if there was a system, as the current system stands, I'm okay with 3 p.m. blackouts. You don't deserve our money again. You don't deserve to keep rinsing people in the pocket of pulling and pulling more and more and more out of people. So I can watch, other streamers on Sky Sports News talk about football, which is absolutely pathetic. So you can keep your 3 p.m. blackout. Now, if the Premier League decided to get a brain together and go, we should just have a global platform like Netflix, take away NBC and Peacock, take away Sky Sports, and take away all these other streaming platforms, Al Jazeera and stuff, and go, guys, it's £200 a year or 150 quid a year, watch all your Premier League games. I think a lot of us, if not everyone, would sign up to that, right, and be all in on it. For $200 a year, and you can watch every single Premier League game. I know what you're saying, because Peacock is cheaper over here, but I'm saying I'm taking it off NBC for you guys and stuff like that, which, of course, is a part of a different package. It all adds up in the end. I'll be okay with it. But as it currently stands, 3 p.m. kickoffs are fine with me. And the other reason why I think 3 p.m. kickoffs are fine with me, there's a lot of people, especially where I'm from in Liverpool, go to watch teams like Tranmere when Liverpool are playing 3 p.m. or go and watch the Marine, which is a very local, or go and watch Beetle Boys, where Jamie Carragher got his debut and stuff like that kind of stuff, or got to start at Beetle Boys. And it would hurt those teams in the pocket. So if you said to me it's £100 or £150 a year, watch all your Premier League games. By the way, 5 to 10% of this package is all going down to the lower league clubs, and we're going to filter it all down. I'm completely fine with it. But as it's currently situated, how football is streamed in the UK, absolutely fucking not. I'd not have more money going to Sky's pocket. And because you know exactly what they'll do? They get the 3 p.m. kickoffs and they boost the price up again. We got more football. We got more. You can watch Liverpool 3 o'clock. Isn't it £20 a month? No, absolutely not.
I kind of agree with what you're saying on that point right there, because you can look at the streaming packages that we have in the United States, even there with all these little streaming apps. They've actually gone, if you get everything that you have viewed right there, you're actually surpassing the price of what we used to have with cable back in a long time ago. I mean, you're pushing right now. I mean, between all the services right there that you want to have right there, you're pushing at least $90 to $100 if you want to watch everything. And the basic cable for a long time was like $60. ours. So yeah, I get your point right there. I totally get your point.
Let me like in terms of Marine and Tranmere and stuff like that. Like that's the point I was making about the Irish League. Instead of trying to fight the blackout, they just went, okay, we're just going to move our day of playing.
But I think it's going to be less, though, Mac. I think it's going to be less fans because fans can't get to it. Do you know what I mean? Like if Tranmere are playing Plymouth fans.
To be fair, most of the League of Ireland clubs are all in Dublin, so it's quite easy.
It's also Ireland is a smaller country, innit? You know what I mean? Like, and, train systems and stuff like that. The UK in the Premier League right now, and again, this is beyond opening the door kind of thing a little bit for our American fans at least. When you're watching your night games, in terms of R5 kickoffs in the UK, and do you know some of those fans can't even get trains home because there's no trains? So they can't get a coach home because there's no coaches. They've got to drive there and they drive back. It's absolutely like those League Cup games, for example. You see a League Cup third round game, Liverpool got Bournemouth away. Bournemouth 7 hours in the car. And then you've got to spend the night or drive home throughout the night because there's no trains on. Because the game finishes at 10 o'clock and you get into the train station at 11. Oh, next train, 6 a.m. What does that do on a Wednesday night? So when you see all those fans, guys, and the away end's full on a Wednesday night, and they're going up to Newcastle or stuff like that, they're paying an arm and a leg, by the way, to go to these games. They're paying so much money to go and support. They're probably missing the next day of work, so they've got to take a day off work to go and do this. I just think the whole system in terms of streaming football or soccer in 2025 has to be really stripped back from the start. And what can we do here to get the best package across? And the best package across is I want to pay to watch Liverpool matches. I would pay a separate fee to watch Liverpool matches plus the Premier League. But I'm not in every game that I want to choose, though. Do you know what I mean? So I think, for example, there's a game this weekend, which is sacred. I can't even remember the game. It's a 3 o'clock kickoff. But I was looking going, I think it's Brighton. Brighton's playing someone really good this weekend. And I was looking at the game going, I would love to watch that game. But in the UK, you can't. It's just this. I think it's Brighton City this weekend. I'm sure it's Brighton City at 3 p.m. in the UK. I might be completely wrong. I'd have to Google it. But I was kind of looking, thinking to myself, they can't even watch that. You can't watch that game. That's a great game of footy. And I just think we all need to take a step back and present a full package properly again of how we get this across to the millions of people. It works for Netflix, so why can't it work for the football?
Here's before, because I want to get us into you were correct, because he is now live. He's just fact checking us as well.
Great game. It's a good game.
It is a great perspective. But in terms of your Premier League package pass idea, the only thing that would worry me would be we all know that they would go, oh, you pay $200 a year for this, then you'll probably pay $300 as well, wouldn't you? Because they're greedy.
But that's a part though where it's got to be sold to you when they first open it. It's like the Super League. If it's sold to you on the first day, everyone gets involved because no one knew what was going on. Everyone just off about it. So again, it has to be capped. It has to be really looked after. And by the way, this thing as well, guys, it's really important to mention. Fan power does make a difference. Right now, for people who don't know, Premier League away tickets are capped at £30 a ticket because the fans got together, put it towards the Premier League. You're charging 70 quid to go to Bournemouth on a Wednesday. What's going on? And it's now capped at £30, which is about $40 a ticket, which is, I think, is a fair price point for an away game in the Premier League.
Fair points. But let's get on to unfair points because it's that time, and I hope you've been thinking about this all week, boys. It is Room 433. You get to, for anybody who hasn't watched it before, you get to pick a topic that you want to get rid of forever from soccer. It could be Liverpool related. We've been fairly broad the last few weeks. We'll start getting a little bit specific to make it more challenging soon enough. But the idea is you got to pick your thing you want to get rid of and convince me, essentially, and your cohort that it's worth getting rid of forever. And if not, you got to keep it. You got to put it in your back pocket and take it home with you, feed it, and get it a kennel and call it misery. So who would like to begin, Brian or Cozzy? Who's been thinking about it the hardest this week?
Brian, please go first.
Yeah, go on, Brian.
Brian, you're the reigning champ. I wasn't.
Yeah, the reigning champ. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna go with the first right there. Delayed offside calls. I'm done with this right there because the amount of injuries that this is eventually costing right there, and the many players right there that you've seen this happen right there, where the play goes through. Somebody goes into a tackle, goes and hits it right there, and it's an unnecessary thing right there. Throw the flag up if you know if it's an offside right there. If you know for sure the linesman is offside, if it's going to be on and a goals get scored, it's going to go to VAR anyway. So go and just put your flag up and let's end this whole mess right there. I mean, what does it start like 2 seasons ago when we started this delayed offside call right there? It doesn't work. It's done nothing but create problems.
What was the original thinking behind it? Does anybody remember?
If the marginal, they can go back and look, let the goal go in, and we'll just take a look. So play to the whistle is the argument. And by the way, you're told that as a child, you're meant to play to the whistle. But your problem is you get these lads like this and just stop. And then the Ryan just feels sometimes obliged to go, oh yeah, they must be off. And you're like, that's not how it's meant to work. But yeah. Bri, I'm kind of with you a little bit. I think for me though, fella, it's more the tight ones, let them go. Of course, the tight ones. But at the moment, with the quality of these linesmen and referees, I don't know if I can trust them anyway. Like, I don't know if I can trust them at the moment to get even an offside call correct. Do you know what I mean? I look at the one last week when we had no VAR in the FA Cup and Harry Maguire's header against Leicester. He's 4 yards offside. He just stood there. He was never onside. And heads the ball in for a last-minute winner against Leicester. And the Lano doesn't do anything, do you know what I mean? So I know what you're saying about the late ones. I can probably get on board with that, but I don't know, tough one for me, that one. Tough.
Do you think, Brian, that the new semi-automated offsides may change things?
Did it change it on Tuesday? Because it seemed like there was a little bit of an issue right there on the goal scored right there to me with semi-automatic offside that never actually got fully reviewed right there. If you go there and look at that, and I didn't want to go into this controversy right there because people are just like going back and bashing us left and right, calls, whining right there about it. But if you go there and look in there, there was an offside player right there in that setup right there for their goal for PSG's goal. And automated offside was in play right there, and nothing ever happened of it. So, again, I mean, I'm kind of leery about that, but I do think that just in the case right there with the delayed offside, I think that you have the potential right there to cause injuries, more injuries with that right there, because the players go fully through with tackles, go fully through with this right there, instead of actually, okay, it's offside, blow the whistle in the rest season, and let's move on from that point. And that's my biggest point right there, is in the long run right there with how many matches these guys are playing, and just go through the whole list of things right there. I mean, you're talking about millions of dollars right there being invested right there that could actually get trash right there on a offside call not called.
Let me ask you this though: has anybody actually been injured from a delayed, like any high-profile ones?
Yes.
Was John Joe Shelby injured once? Got clattered by the keeper. I remember someone. I think a Liverpool player got clattered by the keeper a couple of years ago, and he was offside. Was it Wolves away? I can't. Why has that just come to me? If that's right, I can't believe it. I think one of our players got clattered against Wolves. Might be at home or away. I'd have to check it. And he got injured. I can't remember, but I think he.
I can't remember either. But yes,
Van Dijk's a great call. Yeah, of course. Pickford is off, isn't he, in the build-up, and he gets injured. Yeah, it's a tough one. That. I don't know.
I think it's a fair point. I think this is probably the most agreeable room 4-3-3 one. But I think the delayed off. I mean, if you're off, you're off. Like, if you're going to receive a ball from an offside, just call it. Just don't be, because it's not the marginal ones that they're delaying. It's the ones that are really offside anyway. And you'd have to be an under eights referee without an offside rule to miss it. So I think that's going into room 4-3-3, Brian. Well done. That was a good one. I didn't do my media assets thing, so I gotta do it now. Or am I don't know. Let's get that loop off because you get a. There you go. That's very anticlimactic. Cosy, you've had a bit of time to think. What is your real 4-3-3?
I'll be honest with you, gents. I haven't got much this week, so I'm going to give you the softball one, which I know because I need to get my back in. It doesn't have to be rules for our people who don't know. It can be anything to do with football related. And mine is El Hadji Diouf. El Hadji Diouf. Wow. Yeah. A disgrace to wear the Liverpool shirt. At a really weird time that this kind of life happened. Was a disgrace, in all honesty. What he did representing our club was awful. in terms of spitting at people and spitting at a Celtic fan who helped them out the crowd once. An appalling football player with an appalling attitude. I would say he's the worst player to ever play for Liverpool. Maybe not in terms of ability or talent, but he's definitely the worst in terms of personality and representation. And also on the back of it, we didn't sign Nicolas Anelka. So just to even put the cherry on the cake, Gerard Houllier, getting towards 2002 was getting a couple of little things wrong. Definitely got that one wrong on Nicolas Anelka for El Hadji Diouf. So the worst player to ever wear the number 9 for my football club. Let me
throw the fly in the ointment.
I can't believe you want to defend this, but please.
I'm not going to defend El Hadji Diouf, but what I do want to point out as what was I? It was 24-ish there, 2001. Yeah, 24-ish. El Hadji Diouf and Salif Diao, when they were both signed, were hot prospects and hot properties, and people were gazumped that Liverpool had undercut everybody to get these players signed during the World Cup. In fact, it wasn't even after it. So in terms of the talent, they looked like. Salif Diao, he just was a bad player. He wasn't like a horrible human being, but there was a sense of crap. How did these guys get it? These two players before everybody else did. The Nicolas Anelka thing, as far as I remember, his brother was causing an awful lot of problems, and Houllier just didn't want to deal with that because Anelka was a moody shite, essentially, like even back then, but a great talent. So in that sense, like the context of it was El Hadji Diouf looked like he was, this was the next Sami Hyypiä and Stefan Honcho and Gary McAllister signing from Gerard Houllier. Now that he wasn't meant. He even admitted afterwards, I think, that he just wasn't mentally right. After the whole heart attack thing. So in that sense, there was an air of excitement about El Hadji Diouf. Unfortunately, I don't think anybody could disagree, was probably the scummiest player we've ever actually signed. Like literally as a human being. Yes. There was no redeeming features at all. And was he playing for Celtic when he split the Celtic fan? Was he playing for us?
Yes.
When
he's a Celtic, he did spit on a Celtic supporter also.
He done it for Rangers. When he was at
Rangers. That's right. Yeah, he played for Rangers. Yeah.
No. In 2003, we drew them in the League Cup, in the UEFA Cup.
Yeah, UEFA Cup. Yeah.
And he did it then for Liverpool because he got fined. Because the funny part is he pled not guilty in court, even though there was, of course, 50 cameras of him doing it.
Yeah.
And then, of course, was found guilty.
Yeah. That's the thing, though, isn't it? It's one thing to just be like, Mario Balotelli was just a disruptive influence and thought he was, he just didn't care at that point. He'd made his money. But the spitting is the part, isn't it? It's the spitting. Wasn't even an opponent.
There's also a part of this. Liverpool won the treble. Liverpool were kicking on. This was Liverpool kicking on now. He comes in at a time when Liverpool go on. I think in 2002 he finished second. I could be completely wrong there.
Yeah, no, we did. We finished second on 2002.
Arsenal in the league. I think
we were top of the league, and I think they had like 10 games in hand or something like that. And they just ran away with it. Yeah,
I think Arsenal won by like 10 games, and then Liverpool had Nicolas Anelka.
Yeah,
for 15 million was the buyout. We couldn't afford the 15. We go for Diouf for 10. And it started to spiral at the beginning of the end of Gerard Houlier's reign. Houllier goes in 2005. And it starts to spiral the end because you couldn't get him out the door. Diouf leaves in the same year as 2005. Diouf goes on loan to Bolton in 2004. Right? So he's still there. Diouf wins the League Cup with Liverpool in 2003. Literally wins the League Cup. He's won a trophy at Liverpool. That little Macka. And by the way, I can think of players like Fernando Torres in there who never won a trophy at Liverpool.
Yeah.
He wins a trophy. So it's it kind of, he signals a time at the club where Liverpool were really trying to find that next level to really compete with United and Arsenal. And unfortunately, it wasn't the right answer. And sometimes, and this may be like a little comment to the people in charge now, sometimes the answer's right in front of your face. He's there already. Doesn't need to be out the door. The answer's there, if you get what I'm going at.
I think it's a word that rhymes with spawn tracks or something like that. Where we're not allowed to say, isn't it? Something like that. But yeah, no, that's Brian. Do you want to even like? I'm just trying to be like the balanced voice here. But is there any reason to keep?
I'll tell you what.
Out of room 433. Other than he's now going to poison the things that are already in room 433.
He's the captain's armband in 433.
I will tell you this right here. I would hate myself for the rest of my life if I argue with Kazi about this. I would throw myself in the highway right now if I had to argue with them on Kazi with this there. But it also goes a point right there with clubs going after and it shows a difference with their time frame right there because we didn't really have as much view of the African nations and stuff like that as far as like video and actually looking at it. We gambled on a World Cup player and World Cup players, and that's what happened right there. We went there and saw that these single leads players right there were this right there. We gambled on it, and it's a bad gamble, and that's what happened right there. But if there's a more shittier person in the world than Sadio than El Hadji Diouf right there, it's got to be pretty in the world of football. I can't think of him right there. So yeah, is there something else besides 4-3-3 we can throw him down a pit? Throw him. I don't care. Oh, but below the basement.
Yeah, no, I don't think that anybody could really argue that. Maybe throw in Joey Barton as an extra added bonus there as well. Two of them together in the basement. They can argue and spit each other to their hearts' content.
Gary Glitter with them too.
But I think that's as obvious as we can get. So next week we're gonna have to make it harder because that was way too easy. Hadji Diouf is going into room 433. Now the pit of room, the sewer underneath room 433. A thoroughly disgusting individual to have associated with a club.
55 games
or any club.
55 games he plays in 2 years for Liverpool. How did he get 55? I just checked the stats here in the Prem. He plays 26 in the 03-04 in the Prem. Scores 0.
No, I think that was when Owen got injured and Heskey couldn't get fit either. So by default, even he was getting into those positions.
Probably
Berger was injured too.
Yeah, because Lippmann was out the door by then.
Lippmann was out the door at that point. Yeah.
You're probably right. Yeah, he probably was starting the 9. Yeah.
Yeah, horrific signing, and I worship the ground that Jared Houllier walked on, but he got that one well wrong. So El Hadji Diouf into room 433. I have to make it more difficult for you next week, lads. That was too easy. That was two easy ones. But let's get on to like the serious stuff. We got that's the depression of PSG, the depression of having Prince William's face on our show, and then the depression of having to be reminded that El Hadji Diouf once wore the red. But we have something positive to look forward to: the Carabao Cup final, Liverpool against Newcastle. I think, Cozzy, because you've brought up the point, certain games during this season have been key games, and that we would. This will be getting to see what the team is made of, and they passed with flying colours a lot of the time. Maybe the performance wasn't great, the result got us where we need to go, which is to win the league. But I think this game is a test of Arne Slot because he has to pick those players up and make them, as you said, they're going to be battered from pillar to post with Newcastle midfield. So he's going to have them motivationally on top form on Sunday, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think there's other players in the dressing room as well who really get the levels up for this. Of course, it's a cup final, it's Wembley. It's a chance to win a trophy. It's another one on the Champions board kind of thing. I'm very proud of our League Cup record. I think we are the record holders of winning the League Cup, and I'm very proud of that. And I think, we're playing against a good side. That's one thing what you want to say. It is a good side. But I know you're tired. I know you're running on your last legs. I know you're gassed. And I know it's a big, wide pitch at Wembley. The best way to win at Wembley, or the best way to play at Wembley, is make sure it doesn't go 120 minutes, lads, and back to Ben's. Like, that's one way you can look at it and go get your level up. This is a chance for the manager and certain players in the squad to win their first trophy at the club. At least with Kiege and stuff like that. I know the lads picked up the League Cup last year, but a lot of those players didn't play in the final because it was all the kids. Like McConnell played and players like that. Do you know what I mean? So I'm really excited for the game. I really am. I listen to cup final, man. Fucking hell, it's fucking great. Like everyone, by the way, I love the third round of the cup when people go, well, if it go out, it's not the end of the world. And when it comes round, every single team want to be in Liverpool, Newcastle position this weekend. They don't want to play in the Premier League this weekend. They want to play in the cup final at Wembley when all the eyes are on the game. It's a tremendous day. So I'm excited. I really am. I do think Liverpool will do the business, but I think it's going to be a tough game of footy.
I just want to thank Jamie there for reminded me of the phrase "wee buns." I haven't heard that literally in 20-ish years. That's what happens when you have a roommate from Donegal. Now, Brian, maybe tell me if I'm talking out my ass here, and it wouldn't be the first time today if I am, to be fair. But Mo Salah, as ever, will be hugely important. But am I crazy for thinking that Mo Salah doesn't always turn up for the big games as Mo Salah that we know? Like, you know, when we see the very best of Mo Salah, it's not always in the big game.
I don't think. I mean, I think a lot of times with that, I think that Mo Salah is marked on these big games right there and taken out of these big games. I'll give you like the first Champions that the Real Madrid match that we had right there, where he's basically taken out. I mean, through there, I think that squads know what Mo Salah means to, and what he does, and they go there and they try to eliminate that threat. And they do it effectively sometimes right there. And that's why he has frustrations right there. I mean, if you go there and actually have him double marked, and sometimes where he can't go there and get the pass through, and other players aren't going there and you know, you can see sometimes like there with Mo, for instance, like against the low block right there, has a lot of frustrations. I mean, with them right there, where he has to go out there and go above and beyond Mo Salah level right there sometimes to get to be effective and all that. But I don't think that is Mo not showing up. I mean, because again, right there, there's other things happening right there. If Mo doesn't have anybody to pass to, I mean, he's just going to run himself into the ground right there. And we've seen that many times many times. I mean, but yeah, I think that Mo's Mo. I mean, he's a competitor. He's competitive. He wants to win every match. He wants to score every goal. He wants to do all these things. So yeah, I don't see that right there for him not turning up.
Well, let me put a comparison to both of you. In big games against big teams, have we seen Mo Salah do the kinds of things that Gerrard did fairly regularly, or that Michael Owen did in the 2001 FA Cup final, where we were under the cosh for 89 minutes, and then Michael Owen pops up and wins the game all by himself, as the commentator said. I can't even remember the commentator's name. It wasn't John Motson, I don't think. It was one of the other ones. Wilson Hume, maybe, I don't know. But you know, have we seen that? Like, are we expecting Mo Salah to win this final for us?
Yeah, I think he knows that as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think he thrives on this kind of game. I think I really do. I know what you're saying about finals, and listen, he's been unlucky, you know, a couple of times in terms of injury and stuff like that. And he was injured in the League Cup last year, the Champions League and things. He scored the pen against Spurs, of course. But I think in big games of football, he's been tremendous. I really do. And, you know, I've just checked there. While Mo Salah's been at Liverpool, who's the team he scored the most goals against? Anyone know?
Newcastle.
Man United.
No, yeah. I mean, to me, City too.
Let me be the ass here, though. Is Man United a big team for us? It's a big game of football, but is it a big team for us to play against?
Let me go on. Okay, so he scored 16 and 17 against United. Right.
But I think there might be a case that Harry Maguire scored 16 and 17.
Hang on a second. Against his second is Spurs, he scored 15. Spurs are a good side. City is third. He scored 13 against City. By the way, Arsenal are fifth. He scored 11. They're big games of football for me. And I think the man has done it. I will say, though, Mac, and I agree with this, he's missing a big Wembley moment off his record. Like a big one where you go. I will say that. And he probably knows that himself. He wants to score like a big goal at the ground and have that big moment and that big let-off kind of thing.
Kevin Keegan 74 Cup final.
Yeah, I mean, it's more the fact that I always think about these type of players. For example, I love Thierry Henry, but he never scored in a cup final. That's a true fact, by the way, gents. Never scored in a cup final. I always think about that and think, I love you, lad, but it's always there in the back of my mind that you never did that in that moment. Do you know what I'm saying? And it probably kills Mo Salah as well that he wants a big moment at the cup final. You don't think he wants to be Virgil van Dijk on the end of that winner last year? Do you know what I mean? Of course he did. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? That's what he thrives in. So I do think, and by the way, he's probably going to be playing against Liverpool, who's a right back, playing left back. And then Dan Burns going to be playing the left side, the centre half. I'm not being like, by the way, good players, but you know, if you couldn't handpick two better players to play against, You're playing against the right back, who, by the way, I quite rate at right back. I don't rate him at left back. And then Dan Burney's not the quickest player I've ever seen in the life. So I think there's going to be opportunity. I think there's going to be moments for him. And I think he's going to be great. I really do.
Brian, who do you think the big pitch will suit better, Newcastle or Liverpool? We seem to be quite good at. We seem to be quite good at making the pitch smaller. It's a very Dutch thing to do, but we seem to be quite good at it. But is it too much for Newcastle? Because they do play a very expansive game and may get caught out by the differences between their players when they lose the ball. Is that going to be a factor?
I mean, they're going to try to expand right there anyway, right there, because again, from what we just played right there on Tuesday, they're going to actually go back and hit these wings right there, especially with Robertson if they're playing all the minutes he did, and then possibly I guess Kwanzaa is probably going to play it right back. So they're going to try to exploit those wings. I mean, I think, and not having Anthony Gordon is probably going to be a pretty big thing for us, because I think that Anthony Gordon would probably have a heyday with this right there, with being able to go and hit these wings. And I think that's going to be the one saving grace that we have in this match. But I think that, again, it depends on how tired these guys are right there at that match. I mean, and whether they had that 2 days down right there of doing nothing before they went back into doing and just more build us and calisthenics and stuff like that, and getting themselves back in conditioning and all that. But if these legs right there didn't get that time, now if this was a Klopp slot side, I'm just going to say this right here, we probably would win this. We probably would have a chance, because I think we probably ran ourselves into the ground right there. Even though over the duration of the season right there, I think even coming off of that loss right there, I think that would have been pretty detrimental on a lot of these players with the amount of physical training that these guys, that Klopp side got on there right there. So if the side got downtime, I think that we have a good chance of controlling this match.
That's a great question, Matt. I'm going back and forth a little bit in my head, because he has a big question to do on Gakpo. That's his big question. It's not the midfield pitch itself. He won't rotate that midfield for this cup final. It's the Gakpo conversation. Is he fit? Because my God, he didn't look fit against PSG. My God, it looks like he was running in custard. Right? So
let me just ask you while you pause. Do you think that was? I agree that that's what he looked like, but do you think that was the same thing that happened with Jones, that he just couldn't get up to the speed of the game?
I think the speed of the game was really intense. It was a high-end, high-quality, intense game. I don't think Jones got up to speed. I thought Gakpo was poor again. So I get that. I think his big decision, because I think he's doing Jota. I think he's still doing Jota. I think that this team will basically pick itself. He said Konate was tired, so Konate probably plays. Yeah. And then he goes, Konate, fuck off to France for 2 weeks and go and tell him that you're not fit or whatever you need to do. Kwanzaa's playing right back. Now, I think the best way that Newcastle can win this game is going end to end with it and getting Harvey Barnes on Kwanzaa. And I think that's the best way that they can get out of this, because Eddie Howe doesn't get the credit he deserves at this chat, right? But sometimes he can play a lower block and sometimes he can go end to end with you. I don't know if he's got the bottle to go end to end, though. That's the thing. I don't know if he's got that in him, that the cojones to go, you know what, I'm backing Isaac and Barnes and we'll go at you. And Jacob Murphy, by the way. So I just feel like that could be a thing. The last 20 is going to be massive for Liverpool. Whatever the score is, by the way. If we're Liverpool winning or losing, the last 20 is massive, because the legs in midfield will go and we'll see him go in real time. And then he's got to go, well, can Endo do 50 minutes for me? Because if we get to extra time, that's the other part of the chat. Extra time is always got to be a part of this conversation. There's a reason why the manager goes with Jones in extra time against PSG, when we were all crying for Jones I was crying Jones 20 minutes in. But, he does that because he knows Jones has to play the full half an hour, then potentially pens and all that kind of stuff. So I think he's doing Diaz. Can go to Gakpo. You're doing it. You could do an hour here. You're doing the 30 minutes of extra and you're coming off on the 60, and you will warm up and you will get into this game and you will find a mold. Because I think that's his trump card a little bit, is the Gakpo Diaz situation.
Go ahead, Brian.
I really think that, I think I know we talked about a player probably won't see himself on the pitch right there. I really think this could be actually a Chiesa moment, even in the same point right there. Even though I know it probably won't happen, but I do think right there that's actually something that you could utilize right there. Even in Slav's right there, if he gets leggy right there, because honestly, so right there, I love Harvey. But Harvey was not very effective in that match on Tuesday. I mean, it just didn't work out being him in that tense spot. And I think that you do have like that with the abilities with Chiesa right there to actually play across the board right there that you could do it. Now, is Slot going to do it? Nah, probably not. I mean, but again, I think it does a case right there that for a player like that. But I agree with you right there. I don't think Gakpo's starting this match right there. I think that Diaz is definitely going. I don't see it unchanged. I really don't see that much of an unchanged side right there, except for Kwanzaa. That's it.
I think there's a part, right? I want to mention Jamie's point here. I don't think we can outrun them. I really don't. I don't think we've got the legs to outrun them, especially the midfield. I don't think we can outrun them. But I'd love to see what Newcastle do on the 80th minute if it's tight. Have you got the balls? Are you going to go for it? Because you haven't won a trophy in 70 years. Are you going to go for it? Do you know what I'm saying? We're like, and then by the way, because our subs are better than your subs. So if you want to twist, do you know what I mean? If you twist first, if you blink first, then trust me, our manager will have a tactical plan to get around your subs and we'll win the game. And I'd be really interested to see how Newcastle react in the last 15 kind of thing and go, do they take extra time if it's tight? Have you got another 30 in you? Because my lads have got another 30 because our bench is deeper than yours. Do you know what I mean? So it'll be really interesting.
Let me ask you this, Cosy. You may be correct, as you frequently are, that we can't outrun them, but can we outpass them?
Yeah, of course. Mm-hmm. Of course, yeah. But the problem is, though, the passes have to be... When you play on such a big pitch like Wembley, you have to create the space yourself, so you need to create the width. But the problem is with Kwanzaa, does he want to create width? He's a centre-half playing right back, and you're going to ask him to go and get chalk on his boots. He's probably going to go, no, I want to stand next to Kanate and be 5 yards away from him. Thank you very much. Do you know what I mean? So there's a problem. Salah will get chalk on his boots, definitely, because that's what he does. The problem is, and then the passing then has to be crisp and clear. It really has to be a hard pass into players. I watch on football teams sometimes and the passing is just all a bit laboured. It's a bit behind them. It makes the other player take a touch to control the ball. It's like, that'll kill you against this midfield. Their midfield's great. I really think they've got one of the best midfields in the league. I think it's so balanced and so complete. By the way, I think Liverpool do on their day. But I think the way Liverpool's midfield are playing now, I think their midfield's so much in better form than ours at the moment. Anyway.
Brian, Jamie asks, will the occasion get to Newcastle? Do you think, both managers want to win something? For me, it looked like Salah at the end of the penalty shootout, like he looked like apart from everybody, but it also looked like he was like, right, I'm not letting this happen again. Like he looks like he's getting ready to put despite what I said earlier on for the question part, but it looks like he's got to put Sport Billy's boots on. That's a really old reference for the Europeans, Sport Billy. But is it going to come down to both teams are motivated to win a trophy, both managers motivated to win their first trophy at their club, but it's going to come down to the experience because we have it and they don't.
Then we had the same question with Spurs when we played Spurs in the Champions League. Same exact question right there. Are they going to rise to this occasion because they haven't won a trophy in so long and they never won this type of major trophy? I mean, yeah, the League Cup, regardless of silverware right there, but Newcastle, I mean, it's got to be. The pressure right there you have from your supporters right there for you to go in there. I mean, that's a pressure cooker right there. I mean, for on players, even with the League Cup, I mean, it's a pressure cooker. I mean, you haven't come there and won anything since the 50s. that's a big like burden on top of you right there, and a lot of expectations on your players. So I mean. Yeah, I mean, if they're gonna have to basically go and basically shake that off and come there and go to it. I mean, Eddie Howe's got a lot of pressure on him right now. A lot of pressure. I mean, because there's a lot of investments right there. I mean, that have been made right there with this club right there, and for you to go there to actually go basically go there and actually go there and show something. to actually go there and do something with this. I mean, you've invested right there, so his owners right now are basically saying, hey, you know what? Is this the guy? Should we go with somebody else right there who wants to win, who's going to win us something? So, I mean, it's all in Eddie Howe, in my opinion, and the players.
The last time Newcastle won a major trophy, the Beatles hadn't even formed. That's how long ago it was. 1955, apparently.
Yep.
Brian, very quick, just your score prediction with what information we have right now.
I mean, right now, just looking at right there, I'd say probably a 2-1, 2-0, something like that. My worries right there are Tonali and Joel Linton are really worrying to me right there. That's the only thing that really and also Bruno in their midfield kind of gives me a little bit of a shake, because like Kazi said, I think they're on a little bit better form. And in the long run, actually healthier than what ours is in the longevity right there. So that's my worry right there. But I do think that we have enough right there in if we step up and say, slap these guys on the ass and say, hey, it's the final right there, guys. You know what? It's silverware. You're going to come up there and put your name on the cup. Your name's going to be on that right there. So just get everything out of you right there, and then takes 2 weeks off, and like constant fake injuries, limp off, whatever you have to do right there. But we have to go out there and actually go, and I think we have enough to go out there to do this.
Score prediction.
2-0 Liverpool. Darwin will score. Most Darwin thing ever, just scores after what happened on the week. Tuesday just comes out, and Salah and Darwin.
I'm gonna go. I'm just gonna go with traditional Liverpool Newcastle 4-0. Because that's what we did to them the last time we played them in the final, I think. And that was one of the best games I'd ever seen on videotape. Let's be honest, but from Liverpool of that generation, Shankly's last trophy, Yes, Shankly's last trophy, and a great performance indeed. But with that said, we'll talk about it more in the pre-game on Sunday, which we'll sure we have, and I believe there's a morning coffee tomorrow, so make sure you're paying attention to that. But for us, we got to make sure that you do these important things. You subscribe on the YouTube, smash that like button, subscribe button, or tap it gently. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, Mastodon, Blue Sky, Smoke Signals, and Uri Geller's Psychic Telepathy, whichever you need to do to make sure you know what's going on. Brian, fantastic having you again as always, and Kazi the same. El Hadji Diop can literally stay in the basement of room 433 forever with Joey Barton, and we'll just put a camera there and watch it 24 hours a day. But for everybody else, have a good one. We will see you on Sunday at the very latest, and tomorrow morning if you're awake and have enough coffee in you. Peace out. Here comes the funky music.